I want to introduce you to an amazing healer named Aiyana. Aiyana and I actually met in the Sedona Wellness Cafe where we were having a lovely tea. We got to talking about our beliefs, and our thoughts about the divine feminine and goddesses crossed over so much that I couldn't resist booking a healing session with her while I was in Sedona. Luckily, she had some last-minute availability, so I turned up and we spent a rather extraordinary 4 hours together talking about an extremely wide range of cosmic subjects, and then me actually getting a healing. I wasn't actually interviewing Aiyana per se, but at one point I found what she was saying so fascinating, particularly about sacred sexuality, that I asked her if I could record her for this Mainly Moonology podcast, and she said yes. So have a listen and see what you can glean. Did you know that your Yoni has light points in it? Welcome to the Mainly Moonology podcast. I'm your host, Yasmine Boland, an award-winning astrologer and the Sunday Times best-selling author of books including Moonology and creator of the Moonology Oracle cards. My intention for this podcast is to help you understand how you can create your dream life using mainly Moonology, the moon, as your guide. So yeah, what was that thing you said about the Yoni?
And I'm excited. This is going to be so fun for you. I hope you're ready to just absorb.
I am.
Because this has been very fun for me to receive and learn as well. But first, do you know what a gateway is?
I'm not sure.
So I didn't know this at first when my partner started working with me, but he would open stargates and gateways.
Oh, okay.
And so from my understanding, and everyone explains it differently, but they're gateways to different places in the universe. And when we're dealing with light, then we're talking about opening up gateways. So different gateways to different places of higher dimensions of light. Okay.
All right.
And we understand the more light we bring in to the light body that's in us, then that's what we become. And that's really the whole process of ascension and why we're here.
Okay.
So in the Yoni, it's such a sacred space, but there are points there, like the GSpot and different places that are actually gateways. And so when we bring light, and I'm going to teach you the practice today that Mary Magdalene and Yeshua did. This is what Mary Magdalene learned, and also like in Isis's house, where this was their work. They became initiates. They learned these sex magic practices that's what it was, literally to become a master of these practices. And they would use them, and they would just keep their ka body so full of light.
What's this word, ka body?
Yes, so it's another name for the light body.
Is it a Ka?
Ka. Right. So it's what the Egyptians...
Oh, light body, okay.
Yeah, it's what the Egyptians would call the light body, their ka.
Okay.
And so every alchemic practice that they did, which they did so many, and they this was their work, it was all about keeping that ka body strong, because they understood the difference between the different bodies, and that the ka body was the sovereign body, the higher self. And so
high ka body is the higher self. Okay.
And so,
which means it's right around us. The higher self is actually not up there, it's around us.
Yeah, well, it's our spirit, right?
Yeah.
And so,
but when I think of my higher self, I always think of it as somewhere up there.
Right.
I never think of it as here.
Within the light.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand the concept of energetic bodies.
Yes.
Partly because I did actually study chakras quite a lot.
Yes.
25 years ago, and they taught us all about the aura and the etheric body and this. But I never realised that one of those bodies is the higher self. I think because of the word higher, I've just always assumed it was somewhere away.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So the higher self, this is the thing that's interesting. So I still think it as this, but the ka body is where the soul is.
Okay.
That's where the soul lies. That's where the light is. So that's why we call it a light body.
Okay.
And so the more Christ, he taught about this, about adding on our light, more and more every day till that's just what we become. Till we just become the light.
Okay.
And that's why all these phrases now about oneness, about I am love, I am light, it's because that's literally the essence of our being.
Okay.
And so what we're trying to accomplish now with oneness, instead of having all of these different bodies, is actually to just come into the light where we're just that.
Okay.
Because that is the essence of who we are.
Great.
And so in the women, where in the Yoni, there are gateways because they're points of light, but that's where our bliss and our ecstasy and our creation energy, which what really helps us come into our sovereignty, right? When we're in those spaces. So doing these practices every day and bringing that energy into those places is literally opening up like universes and gateways of light.
And what does it do to open up a gateway of light?
What it does,
It brings in more light in.
Yeah. And so, the vibration, like when you have an orgasm, that's a vibration. It's a very high vibration. Most women don't know actually how to hold that orgasm to the place where they actually let that whole vibration come up into their body and they embody it and they carry it. And
I think I might know how to do that.
And that's really, that's one of our highest places of creation, is when we can have that energy in us and we're in that bliss. It's like nothing touches. We have clarity. We're in our creation space. We have power. We have true power. Because that vibration it's bliss and it's pleasure. And that is the essence of like our sensuality.
Yeah.
And the essence of us as a woman, right?
Yeah.
And so for women that have gone through like sexual trauma and things that way, like them understanding that the Yoni is actually a sacred place. It's a gateway for divine love, to experience divine love for self and with another. And a gateway for bringing in that highest vibration of bliss and ecstasy and all of that. That's her birthright.
Okay.
So does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes complete sense. Yeah, I haven't really had sexual trauma per se, but my mother, when she told me about sex, because she's extreme Catholic, she made it sound so bad that I couldn't figure out how I had been born, because clearly I would never, she would never have had sex if it was so bad. So that was probably my only real sexual trauma.
Well, and I think that's a big one, and that's for most of us. Then what happens is that we end up coming into this world having already shame in our body, and already having the message that we didn't come from love.
I don't think she meant it like that. I think she was trying to present it to me like that because I was about 14. Yeah, just to make sure that there was no way I was going to go and have sex with anyone.
Exactly. But yeah, those are spells in a way.
100%.
Those are spells, and so being able to. That's why I'm so passionate about this and taking this into the countries where young women in them are being, victimized, for them to understand, to have a clear understanding that they're divine beings and that this is a gift and a gateway, actually, if they learn these practices, to be able to have that self-mastery within themselves and they master that energy and they understand what it's for, then it takes them out of the space of being a victim.
Yeah.
It closes the door on victimization. So, yeah, because these are all old programs.
Yeah. I've been discovering this while I've been in Sedona.
Right?
Yeah.
That sex is bad and like...
Yeah, and there was another one for me which clearly has come direct from the church.
Yeah, is that the belief you broke through? I saw your post.
Yes, that's the belief I broke through.
That's so beautiful. I bet that was so free.
Yeah, it was a bit shocking actually.
I bet.
To realise how indoctrinated I've been. Yeah.
I hear you. I can relate. Yeah. Those beliefs in religion can really... I know that there's one, maybe I should go see him. That's still...
that guy's amazing.
That's still holding on. I've seen some of his posts and have wanted to like...
I interviewed him for my podcast. That's how we met. And he was good. It was interesting. But when he went into healing mode, he was like a different person.
Yeah.
Just like... was amazing.
That's so beautiful. That happens a lot for people. Okay. So the first thing that I saw when you came in was chakras. So are you like on a daily basis?
Right. Yeah.
Use that mantra because that's probably the easiest phrase.
And I have it, and I've been given it twice.
Yes.
And I'm still only doing it every now and then.
Yeah. So I would, do you have a morning practice?
Kind of, but not really.
So I really encourage you to take that space
And do the morning practice again. I got out of the habit when we moved house.
Yeah, and just whatever, like, just brings you so online where you're balanced and grounded and connected, you know, below and above.
Yeah.
Because there's that line, right?
Yeah.
Have you experienced that and seen that?
I know about it.
So it's about it, it's access, right?
Right.
And so we want to be in the middle of that axis.
Right.
And so connect to the earth and then connect above.
Yeah.
And then also just seeing the Merkaba. So the triangle above and the triangle, the two connected.
Yeah.
So that then we're in balance.
Yeah.
Doing that.
I actually, when I did yoga in Sydney for a long time with a girl who used to come over, we stood outside a lot actually, and that was particularly lovely. In London it's much harder because it's cold, but we do have a reasonable porch. We had a spring, summer and autumn space.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, being outside.
Because I think connecting to the sky and the earth is easier outside.
It is. Well, because we can imagine anything in our mind, but there's something different about being on the energy of the earth and being able to connect with the sky.
Yeah.
It's like when you're standing in front of the sun, you know, and sun gazing is actually another way of really being able to access light codes, because everything in nature has a light code. The moon has its own light codes, right? The stars have their own light codes. The sun. And so sun gazing is a real thing. I've been doing this for a while, and it's amazing because we're all beings of light, right? So when we connect with light, that creates a relationship. And it's been really touching for me to do the sun gazing and to feel that energy coming into my being through my eyes. And there's codes there. And so when that light enters into the body, it lights up different codes of light within us.
And what does that mean? Because I've always been fascinated by the idea of light codes, but I don't really know what it means.
Right. So a code is like something that to get access into something, right?
Right.
So what these are key codes into higher knowledge that has been lost for so long, you know, really around the energetics of things, around the spirit of things, around creation of the world, just how to create.
And so by getting the light codes, you're getting the knowledge.
You're getting
on some level, even if you don't know what it is.
Exactly.
Right.
And what's happening is then it's unlocking that light that's in you. So the more light we have, the more love we have, the more truth we have.
And does it have to be conscious? Because otherwise then all the Australians should have all the light codes because they're all in the sun all the time, all the Californians.
No, because the thing is that it is a conscious connection, right? Because I'm taking the time. I'm not just saying, I'm going to sit out here in the sunbathe
while drinking a daiquiri.
I'm saying I want to connect with the sun. I want to bring that energy into my body. I want to have a relationship with that element. So I'm actually consciously taking the time.
Right.
To connect with that element and invite that element and the essence of that into my being.
Right.
To connect with that piece that is already in me.
Yeah.
Right? Because what we're looking for is to live in harmony and love and oneness. That's the true essence of our being. And so every time we consciously connect with an element, the light of an element, and
the sun being an element.
Yes. Then we're bringing that in and it's connecting to that same source energy in us. And so now we've created oneness, right? Same with the moon.
Yeah, let's talk about the moon.
You're the moon expert. I'm just talking about light.
I don't know anything about moonlight codes.
Well, it's just light, but it has its own essence, right? So when you sit in the moon and if you can connect with it consciously, it's about being in your being and actually feeling from your space. It's not a mind thing. It's about connecting from the space, feeling as that comes into you and welcoming it consciously. And when you do that, you can feel that light coming into you. And if you're sitting quietly and you're conscious, you can feel how that comes in and how it resonates in your body.
And again, doing it with intention.
That's the whole thing. It's about being present and having the intention of actually wanting to connect with this element and wanting what that light and that element has to offer and inviting it in to connect with. It's already in you, right? But the moon's very powerful.
I know that.
It has a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
With its different cycles.
Yeah.
So when you invite that light to come in and to connect with those parts in you, then you're welcoming, you're becoming one with that element.
And do you think you need to actually be able to see the moon? Because quite often in London, for example, it might be cloudy, so it's hard to see the moon, but there might still be moonlight up there.
I think it's an intention. I don't know. I just know it's really powerful when I can sit in nature and I can feel. There's been times where for me, and this is different because every being is, I'm very sensitive. So, and I can feel like when it was a full moon and I was in the van, even though I was on the land, like my soul was like, I want to go out and connect with her. Like I feel like she's calling me to come and sit in her light and to connect with her.
Beautiful.
And that was so touching to me that my soul was like, I so wanted to just go and be in the presence of that light.
And a really interesting thing that a friend of mine, George Lizos, who's a spiritual teacher in Cyprus, I think it is, he told me the thing is as well, remember that moonlight is actually the light of the sun, which is masculine, reflecting off the moon, which is feminine. So you're getting a mixture of the masculine and the feminine.
That makes sense because when I had that experience is when I was coming into all of these activations to activate the feminine and the masculine within. And so I think that's the beauty. I think so much of this is really about coming into being, especially as women, being in our bodies, being so present with ourselves. And really listening and honoring, when we feel something and not just pushing it aside and be like, oh, that's crazy. I had to get up out of bed and Toha, I'm sure, was like, what the crap are you? But he understood me, So for me to just kind of sneak out of the van and to go and just be like, but it took energy. It took me being like, I'm really feeling this. This is a desire, and honoring that desire. And pushing aside the, no, I'm too tired, that's crazy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And going and being in that. And I think that's, I feel like that's really a message for women right now. Because we get these almost consistently, this constant intuition of like desires of what we want to do. But we let the brain, sometimes be like, no, you can't do that. And then we miss out on coming deeper into our own our own being. So anyways, that was a little tangent. When we were talking, that really stood out to me. You said, well, maybe you can teach me that. And this is something that in the retreat space, that container, because my whole focus is actually to bring women that are so blocked to actually help them come into that space where they open up where those blocks and they're able to come into their own, like create their own orgasm, and then teach them how to bring that energy and hold it. So, and then do that on a daily basis. But what we're dealing with, and you said you already, you're like, I think I already do that.
I'm not sure, but I think maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I definitely feel it. An orgasm all over my body.
I think you do, because your third eye is very open.
Is it?
But what I see energetically is your body is constantly vibrating, and that's not low vibration. That's not a constant like, okay, I'm aware, right?
Right.
So, okay, so what we're going to start with, the whole premise of this, and the Egyptians knew, is that everything we visualize, right, over and over again becomes our reality. So it's about light, and it's about visualizing, and it's about vibration.
Visualizing and vibration.
And we use breath to bring all of these things together. This is not a simple practice, so I'm going to teach you a small part of it.
Okay.
And then if you use this and you like it and you feel like, yeah, that's super powerful, then I can teach you the rest.
Okay.
Have you had your Kundalini awaken?
No.
Okay. Because this does that.
Right. Am I going to suddenly burst into flames?
I don't think so. She's like, oh, my time with Aiyana.
Oh, no hair left at all blend off my head, but that was good otherwise.
All right. So I'm going to start with just a little bit of movement. I don't know if you've done this before, but this is called the Sophie grind, like in Kundalini yoga. I just want to loosen that up just a little bit. And you can do it either way, and you can play around with it. I just want you to become aware, like, of your womb and then like that, the Yoni space there, because we're going to be working with those too. I can see a rose over you. You must have some Magdalene.
I definitely relate to Magdalene.
Yeah.
Very strongly.
Yeah, because I was seeing the rose above your head. We said you had Christ come to you. So the first thing we're going to do is we're working with the womb space. Okay, so when you feel loose, I just want you to be able to feel loose enough where you're not holding. If you feel like your chakras are open. You're good. You're balanced. You've been spending a lot of time on the earth, haven't you?
I don't know. Feel weak in Sedona.
In Sedona. Yeah. Yeah, it's resonating through your body. Okay, just want you to... So close your eyes. And I just invite you to connect with the earth, actually, with your root chakra or your Yoni. Just see if you can connect with her. See if you can just feel that energy. Good. Once you feel that connection, I'm going to invite you to take a big, deep breath in. And as you breathe in, I want you to bring in that energy. A lot of people see it as golden energy. But however it shows up for you, that there's the dentine that goes up right through the middle of the body. You know what? That tube. So we have prana tube. Yeah. So it's called different things in different. So I want you to bring that energy up through that tube.
Yeah. Or from the earth.
So you're going to connect with your root chakra, that Yoni space, to the earth energy. And when you breathe in, bring in the energy from the earth up through the root and up through that tube, through the middle of the body, all the way up to the top. And hold it for a minute as it goes.
Do I clench? Or no need?
I guess I'm clenching a little because I'm bringing it up and then following the energy, the light, all the way up through to the top of the head. And then blowing out when you're ready. You relax you.
Funnily enough, I've been reading Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural, and the first meditation he does requires you to do that. So I did that a few times last week, and it was a preparation for today.
That's so interesting. I love that book. It's been a while. This is really what we are becoming, is to realize that we're not our bodies. We're so expansive, and we are the universe. It's within. And we are the creators. So this time, I'm going to have you do that again. Just kind of on your own. Connect and really feel that energy. This time when you go to breathe it up, I want you to let it swirl, like in the root chakra, the Yoni area. Just kind of let it swirl for a minute, see how that feels. And then when you're ready, bring it up through that tube again. When you blow out, just kind of see that, the light, that expanding. Good. Now this time we're going to bring in the heavens, so from the sky. Okay, know this routine. So connect from your crown. And when you breathe in, invite that light to come in through the crown. Let it go through the tube. And down into the earth. When you're ready to blow out and release, let it expand. When it expands, if you can actually see the gold and the white, because the white comes from the heavens, that's the masculine, see it, the pipe is starting to swirl together into the body. Good, and do that one more time from the heavens. Bring in that light. Ritual. When it expands, I want you to actually see if you can visualize it seeping into the cells. It's kind of expanding, so that golden and that white energy just seeping into your cells, all the areas of your body. I'm just going to do a little work that I'm being shown to do. Is that okay? Are you familiar with sacred geometry?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's seeing it all in your body. Have you had a session with that?
No.
I was seeing, this has been happening to me, like some geometric cones coming in and they're kind of just swirling all in your body. Just allow that. So it's igniting something. Just keep focusing on that light coming in. The light feel tingling in your body.
I felt very strong tingling right here. Sort of had a hair there, and I didn't. Should I bring it from the earth and the sky, or just the sky?
Just bring it from the sky again. So what I'm seeing, and that's why I'm saying it might feel like things are moving inside of you and you might feel vibration. What I'm seeing is literally like it's shifting. Like geometric codes are very sacred. They change the DNA, so it helps us shift from like a 3D base to like a 5D and a 7D. So what I'm seeing is like everything's kind of shifting and scrambling. We are starting to bring it into out those bases instead. So just be with that. Good. Now when you're ready, ground one more time. Lift that.
And bring my energy out?
Yes. Bring it up, Phil. Good. Now it's balancing out. When you blow out, see that golden energy expanding. It's going to create balance for what you just brought in. And you might just feel a sudden feeling of like complete peace. Just let it settle in. Good. Are you seeing any colors?
No, but I did see the light from the heavens as white before you said it was white, so I was quite happy about that.
So I'm seeing blue this last time. Blue is the, in healing, it's like complete healing, like that's what comes in. Okay, good. So just be in that peace for a moment. You might feel some pulling from the back. There's like things that are being extracted. Okay, just being pulled, taken out, that they're just old. I'm seeing that they're old, like old codes, like old programming, like being pulled to make room for what's coming in today. Ones that you've already said I don't need, that you've been ready to let go of. It's interesting. It's coming from the, like they're being pulled back from like out of the back heart chakra. Looks like it's almost at the end. You might feel a release, like a pull, or just kind of like little streams coming out. Okay, good. Take a big deep breath in again from the ground up, or just even the core. Bring it up to the heart, and then let that golden energy, make sure it's hitting the back heart chakra and letting that swirl around and just kind of heal the space where those just got taken. Yeah, there's some emotion there. Feel into that. Like our body loves to let go of things, but then it grieves it at the same time. Okay. Are you familiar like with the Star of David, that seal? Yep. So that's what I'm seeing coming around you now. Usually when we do work like this, because we're bringing so sacred codes of light. So I'm seeing that seal now. It's sealing it in. So it's setting in place.
I have a really strong urge to breathe in from the top and the bottom at once.
Do follow that intuition. That if you feel, I see that it needs to expand out from the heart. Good. I just see almost like this brush, like brushing things off from your back. Okay, it feels like that process is almost ending, so just be until you feel like the body is settled. Follow any that intuition that comes. Just make sure you ground back down. And then bring that golden energy as you ground. Let it just bring it up into like the root chakra, the Yoni space, and just let it swirl there. Okay, I'm going to let you take just a break for just a minute. So we'll bring some more golden light up into the front and swirl that around so that it will heal. Whatever was being pulled, which I felt like was just old light codes. I don't know what were you feeling, but I just saw these strands, like these strips. And that's usually like how DNA memory or like old codes and stuff come out in that, like they're strands. Bring the green in from the root chakra into the heart. And let it heal and swirl and expand. Have you worked with sacred geometry in the past?
Only a little bit when I was learning about the Merkaba and things like that.
It's coming in a lot in people sessions and things from so I'd say like these are galaxies, you know, like the different planets, like we have Sirius and like all of that. But it's almost like, pardon me, it's just like all of these different planets are trying to help us, right? You know, they're trying to help us upgrade, like come higher so we don't get stuck. And so the only way to do that is to change the body composition. And that's where that sacred geometry, because everything is geometry in our body. So,
Observe.
yeah, because everything is a shape, right?
Yeah.
If you look at, there's a gentleman, his name is True Below Melchizedek.
Oh, yeah.
So he's been written quite a few, but he
Yeah.
talks about living from the heart space, but he talks about, different geometry.
Yeah. I know his work really well.
Okay. You probably know, well, I've been studying it for a little while, but just certain pieces.
Just the flower of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drum below Melchizedek.
Yeah. There's just been doing certain pieces because I'm very much keeping taken to like the Essene brothers, like the Magdalene, like all of these
Right.
that are around Christ. But okay. So you know your threshold. I can teach you a little bit more of the breathing. I really want to teach you the snake. Or we can take a little break and we can go in and do some of the wombs.
Is the snake the Kundalini?
The snake is no. Doing this breath work on a daily basis is what awakens the Kundalini.
Okay. You mean doing the root chakra and the crown chakra?
No,
the serpent?
the breath work.
I would like to do the Kundalini.
Okay.
I'm very curious about that because I've never.
Yeah, because Kundalini, it's just this. It's what's connected to the sexuality. Like I can feel it. It just because it's just this burst of light. Christ energy is really what it is.
Okay.
So, all right, I'll take you through. It's kind of a long practice. It's good that we're recording. Do you have this book, the Magdalene manuscript?
I've read it. I don't know if I borrowed it from someone or if I have it. I can't remember. Why? Think I should get another copy? If
I
don't have one?
would, because here's the I want to show you this because this helps.
Okay.
It's the visual.
I've got a copy or I can easily get a copy.
It's really easy to, but when it goes into like the bringing the stakes in the back, I just find like it really helps to like have that visual.
Okay.
You can't already. I mean, if you don't already, but
Okay.
this is where it gets really powerful because when we bring those snakes in and you can actually feel their bodies crisscrossing and vibrating through your chakras and you start to shake. Any professional healer will let you know that when the body shakes in healing, that's when it's at its ultimate space of healing. Because what's happening is it's shedding the old vibration. It's like getting rid of stuff. And so that's why bringing those snakes into the chakras, and then when they start to writhe, then what's happening is you're cleansing out those chakras and bringing in that energy. So as you practice that, that's what you want. When that starts to come, that's when you know, okay, like I'm really coming into this space. And then when the snakes come and you visualize their drops coming on and onto the gland here, and you can actually feel that coming in and feel that sweet taste in your throat, then that's when you know, because that's Amarita as well.
Right.
So, and this is the sacred high vibration liquid. Did you see a bug?
No.
That was weird. So those are the two P's that you're wanting to go through. So there's spirits here, just so you know. When I was sitting here, these lights turned on. That stuff started to blow, and I was calling in my ascended masters anyways. but
That was weird.
they're like, you need to tell her you're surrounded. I'm always surrounded.
Right, are you? Right, yeah.
Yeah. Well, in the work that they do here, they do really deep work with people here.
Mm.
Okay. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the first exercise I'm going to tell you, and then we'll do it.
Okay.
Okay. So it's all, you're bringing light into the wound. Okay. Whenever we bring light in, that we swirl it around, it's that golden, and that's where we're healing. Because whenever we bring light in with the intention of clearing out whatever low vibration energy, whatever codes, whatever trauma, whatever is in there, bringing that light in is clearing that out. Okay. And then we let it swirl. So that's a breath in. We let that swirl. The breath out, we actually push that light down into the Yoni area. Okay.
So it's before it's sort of up in the, like,
So
fallopian tubes area.
I'm bringing it all into this,
the
like,
whole belly.
all of this, and I'm just feeling it swirl. I'm seeing it. I'm visualizing it gathering any dark that's there. And that it's a loving energy. And then when I blow out, oh, it makes you. Then I'm blowing it down into the Yoni. Okay. And so all of that energy goes there.
The Yoni being the vagina. The Yoni being the vaginal canal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And all the way down into the, like, all of that area.
Okay.
So then when we breathe again, we expand that energy so it's swirling. And then when we blow out, this time it goes up that tube and out.
A particular color?
Gold is usually what,
Okay.
but some days, like, I've seen pink,
Okay.
which is love, divine love. So, but most of the time it's that golden energy that's feminine.
Okay.
And we're dealing with that. So we'll do that. I'm going to take you through this each step just twice. When you do this, this is for you to listen. Like when I started it, when Toa and I started this together, and he would sit next to me, and this is how this really connects couples, because when you start to do this and you start to create the magnetics, it would get to a point where we couldn't finish. Like we were.
Got it.
Because the energy is so intense. And what happens is then you tune into your partner, because when you're doing this together and you're tuning in, it creates that connection. And it's a very pure, like, magnetic, because we're dealing with magnetics, that connection.
Okay. There's an angel gateway at Eagle Mesa.
Yeah. So it was really interesting. There's a bench there as you go to look out as you look out over the thing. Mm-hmm. There's a place, there used to be a bench there. I don't know if there is. I just see right behind or a wall. But I could see it. There was a portal. I could see the energy coming out from the portal. And the lady sat there, and all of a sudden I saw all these angels come and stand behind her. And I just sat there and watched it. I didn't say anything. And she started crying. And I said, "What's happening for you?" She's like, "Archangel Michael's right here, telling you, like, showing me all these things, and he's helping me heal." She couldn't walk up the steps barely because she had put her ankle on her shoulder. And so I just sat there. I didn't say anything. It just said, "Just listen." And then it was about 15 minutes. She got up and walked up half the mountain.
Wow. Yeah, no, I felt also, I can't remember what it was now, weirdly enough, because I didn't express it afterwards because I didn't want to talk about it, but I can't remember what it was now, though. But I felt like there was healing there.
There's so much there in the area.
Right.
But yeah, I've seen mostly just a lot of angels at the airport recently. The Kachinas is a divine feminine. There's a birding cave up there.
Which one's that one?
The Kachinas up Boynton Canyon.
Oh, right, because I wanted to go to Boynton, but
Yeah, where they have the male Kachina and the female. So it's the yin and the yang area. But
Right.
They have the birthing cave, but that's where we've done so many activations up there.
Right.
With the yin and the yang. And in the birthing cave is where we've done some of the rose loo. Because it's birthing, right?
Yeah.
Pardon.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Mainly Moonology podcast. If you'd like to stay updated with the moon and moonology and astrology and all the other things we cover, be sure to subscribe to the podcast via Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You'll be notified whenever a new episode is up. Also, it would mean a lot to me and my team if you could leave us a glowing 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice, please. That actually helps more people find us too, which spreads the love and surely also brings you amazing karma for taking a moment to help us out and to help other people find the podcast. Have a great week, and I hope to speak to you next week. Lots of love.